Hi, I'm sitting here for the first part of our series, 5 Minutes With, and I'm sitting here with Ryan Mooney from Fifth Third Bank. He's going to talk to us a little bit about different things in the mortgage process and loans and different general information that's out there that everybody always seems to want to know about. Ryan, thank you so much for sitting down with us and talking today.
Thank you.
And the first question that a lot of people always have is, as a mortgage lender, what kind of programs do you work with for home buyers?
I work with all sorts of programs depending upon the home buyer's need and what they're looking for. But to answer your question in a little bit more broader aspect, I work with every loan program that a customer would be looking for here in Northern Michigan. From your conventional 5% down mortgage to FHA to rural development. We also partner and work with MISHDA, which is the Michigan State Housing Development Authority. So those are a good couple of loan programs that we consider and work with first-time home buyers.
Okay, all right. And now, as a buyer, especially a first-time home buyer, what can people expect the first time that they sit down with you? What's going to happen?
I think the biggest thing that they can expect when they sit down with me for the first time is getting a detailed or accurate, if you will, description of what the process will look like as far as home buying process from start to finish. A pre-qualification or a pre-approval is the first step. A customer needs to know, what can I afford, or what my monthly payment will be, and does that measure up with what I want to spend each month? But on top of it, it's just one in many steps. So pre-qualification starts as step one, but there could be 4 or 5 other steps. So when we sit down, we can identify the pre-qualification, get that accomplished, and pick a product that best fits that customer's need. But after that, I can further walk them through what to expect going forward, ultimately when they make that offer and find that house that they want to call home.
Okay. And now, a lot of times what Ryan just touched on was the pre-qualification that you heard him talk about. A lot of times the realtors will talk about pre-qualification or pre-approval. Ryan, can you talk about that? What's the difference? And which one would you want and why?
So depending upon which lender you choose to work with, a lender may have a process in place for a pre-qualification or a pre-approval. The industry definition of a pre-qualification is essentially a credit check. And let me be clear, both require a credit check, a pre-qualification and a pre-approval. On a pre-qualification, it's a credit check, but at this point, an underwriter is not reviewing income documentation specific to your borrower or borrowers. That's a pre-qualification. A pre-approval requires a credit check and some form of income documentation has been provided and given to an underwriter who's taking a second set of eyes or look at that. Overall, here in Northern Michigan, I think it's a bit of a mixed bag. If we can get a pre-approval, a lot of real estate agents and buyers like that, but I've seen pre-qualifications which are based on the customer's own accurate information as to what they make with income. Pre-qualifications have been working and will, in my opinion, continue to work as far as making an offer on a home.
Okay, all right. And just a few minutes ago, we touched on first-time home buyers. And a lot of people always ask, especially first-time home buyers, they hear about all these programs that are out there for them. Are there programs out there for first-time home buyers?
Yeah, absolutely. The USDA offers the Rural Development Program. That's a very popular one here in Northern Michigan. Rural development is for first-time home buyers. Ultimately, it is one of the last 100% financing programs available outside of the VA loan program. Of course, you have to be a veteran to obtain that one. So rural development is a very popular loan program for first-time home buyers because of the 100% financing. MISHDA, or the Michigan State Housing Development Authority, also offers a great first-time home buyer program, which you can partner with MISHDA to obtain a first mortgage. And if you're in need of extra money for your down payment or your closing costs, they offer a down payment assistance program that partners with their home loan program that ultimately can provide for a customer a lot of the cash that they need to buy a home, to afford the down payment, the closing costs, and get into that home of their dreams. So those are two very popular loan programs here in Northern Michigan.
Okay, and so now after a person sits down with you, they talk to you, they get pre-approved or pre-qualified, then they come see a realtor, we go shopping for a house, you find the house that you want, and then after that, then you come back and see you again, and what happens then?
Well, what we do first and foremost is if we made an offer on a house, that's the big key, and then more importantly, has that offer been accepted? If that offer's been accepted, as you and I know, that means we're buying a house. This is really happening. So the big thing we want to make sure first and foremost is we get our address, and obviously that will be on your signed purchase agreement. And now starts the process of updating the income documentation, updating the asset documentation, taking all the disclosures into effect that one has to sign. Whichever lender you work with, a bank or a credit union or a mortgage broker, you're going to have plenty of disclosures to sign. So, but what really sets this process apart, excuse me, from the pre-qualification or the pre-approval to the actual live application is everything gets ratcheted up a little bit here. Your sense of urgency now needs to, get ratcheted up a little bit. When you're shopping for homes in the beginning, you want to find that perfect house. So it could take 30 days, it could take 180 days. But when you sign a contract, as you know, it's probably 45 days or less. So that sense of urgency needs to ratchet up a little bit here as far as gathering income documentation, gathering the asset documentation, getting the appraisal scheduled. Really just to make sure we're meeting that contract date so everybody's happy with that home buyer who's getting into the home and the seller who's probably made plans to move on to their next house or move elsewhere outside of the state or inside, maybe still in the state of Michigan. So.
Okay, and so with all that increased scrutiny, there's a lot more paperwork, and there's going to be a lot of time that the people have to sit down with you. And about how long can someone expect that process to take?
I usually like to set aside an hour, at least for the first initial meeting. Once we're going live, if you will, and we're actually buying a home, I set aside an hour for me to cover everything. But as I tell customers up front, I'm going to cover a lot. There's a lot that needs to happen for me to make sure I'm taking an accurate application and for that customer to feel comfortable working with me and make sure they understand that they're getting all the information. So I'm going to cover a lot, and I tell them up front, your head may hurt after this. The goal is not necessarily to retain everything. We're not cramming for a final, but to retain certain key pieces of information that customer really wants to make sure they understand. What's my payment going to be? What can I expect for cash to close? What's my interest rate going to be? 3 big keys. But after that, there's so much more that goes into the process. So I'm going to cover that with them, but I'm also going to routinely follow up with them. And that follow-up is based on what they like as far as frequency of contact. If it's emails once a day, if it's a text message, if it's a phone call. Some customers are more hands-off than others, so they may want contact every week or every 2 weeks. That's fine. The goal, again, is to make sure we're getting as much done as we can up front so we're starting strong. So that way the process after that initial meeting goes relatively smooth because we've covered so much and gathered so much documentation at the point of application.
And then after that meeting with you that you cover all this stuff, and about how long does it take for the whole underwriting and loan process to close? Is there a typical amount of time?
I would say in Northern Michigan, most real estate agents and lenders are working under 45-day contracts. Some contracts can go longer. That depends upon financing, which also is important to discuss with your loan officer because certain financing may require a 60-day contract and certain financing may only require a 30-day contract. So we're just going to meet right in the middle and say 45 days. The processing and the underwriting may be shorter than that, may be longer than that. The big thing you'll find, whichever lender you work with, is if we're busy or if we're slow. Obviously, when spring hits and people start buying houses, things get busier. Loan applications at every lender pick up. Home buying obviously increases, and therefore turn times, which is an industry term, can slow up the process a little bit. But again, that's where a qualified loan officer or mortgage loan originator who you're working with as a customer comes in. How much did we accomplish up front? How much information did we gather? Did we get all the necessary documents so that way we're not slowing up the process on our end by having to go back to that customer 2, 3, or 4 times to gather missing documentation.
Okay, all right. So it's good to have all that stuff in order as early as possible. All right. Are there any kind of loans right now that are hot or are very popular more so than the others right now?
I think in Northern Michigan you'll find that one of the more popular loan programs is the Rural Development Loan Program, again because of the 100% financing for customers to minimize down payment. After that, it really would be based on a particular lender. Each particular lender, credit union, mortgage company, bank, may offer a product specific to that particular company. But overall, in general, the rural development is probably the most popular, with MSHDA being utilized infrequently, but it's a still pretty popular loan program, just not as popular as rural development.
Okay, all right. Sounds like a lot of information. If people want to get a hold of you and find out more, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
They could reach me any day, Monday through Friday. I actually work Saturdays too, but if you're reaching me at the office Monday through Friday at any time from 8 to 6 at my desk phone, which is 231-922-4320, or you can visit me on my website. If you are familiar with the Fifth Third website, it's 53.com, literally just the number 53.com/mortgages. you can find a loan specialist, search for Northern Michigan and Traverse City, and you can visit my website.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Ryan, for sitting down with us. That was a lot of information, and I appreciate the time.
Thanks for making time for me. Appreciate it.
All right, Ryan Mooney from Fifth Third Bank, everybody.